Well, it's 9:30, so let's go ahead and get started. I know some of you will be joining, so we welcome you when you do join us. Greetings to all of you, and as we think about our time together, thank you for investing in yourself as we together figure out how do we navigate these waters that really aren't familiar to us these days. And I'm hoping that those of you that might be joining by the recorded version of this, that you too see the opportunity of taking the time to invest in yourself and spending this together. Really, when you do think about it, we can partner together in new and creative ways. And so that's what we want to focus on this morning. Certainly, these challenging times will continue. And as we think about where we were 14 days ago or 2 weeks ago, when we did the first presentation, things continue to evolve and change, and they will. And so my message to you still is, don't panic. Rather, focus on the 5 Ps. Maybe write these down, the 5 Ps. Plan, pivot, partner, prepare, and push through. And as you think about it, failing to plan really is planning to fail. So let's not let that happen. Let's think about planning and pivoting and partnering and really preparing so that we can push through it and we can help your business survive and thrive. And that's what our time together is. So as your business coach for the next hour, you might be wondering, well, gosh, what is a business coach and what do they do? What does she do? So think about really any high-performing team, and whether it's a sports team or maybe in the performing arts, they all have coaches, and some of them have multiple coaches to help them focus and to become their best and then get even better. And coaching is not just for sports. So let's take that analogy and think about me in the next hour being your leadership coach, your business coach. And I bring positive energy and will help you focus on the right things right now, and rather than retreating or maybe being paralyzed with all the information that can be so overwhelming. Let's just think about how I can help you bring some positive energy, a positive perspective. And when you're in that place, you do become much more creative. And as that creativity comes to your forefront, you'll start planning with a new spirit, with a new energy, with a new focus. And we want to help you set both personal and professional goals during this time. Life does not go on pause. It's different. Absolutely, it's different. And so what we want to do is really think about how we can help you plan, set personal, professional goals, and take action. That's why we're called Action Coach. Take action so that you can get the desired results that you want. And you will get results. The question is, are they the results that you want, especially during this time? So let's get focused on people and processes. That's really what this is about. And let's get started. Again, my name is Linda Krei, and I'm happy to serve as your business coach and your leadership coach in our time together. So step number 1 out of our 11 steps that you need to take now so that your business will survive and thrive. You never know when a moment and a few sincere words can have an impact on a life. And our endeared Zig Ziglar has great wisdom in that comment. When you think about positive communication, think about the things during these changing times that maybe aren't changing and shouldn't change. You may need to pivot, but what about that vision of where you want to go and the goals that you need to set in place to get there? We need to modify those right now to stay on that path. And yet what shouldn't change is that passion and your enthusiasm to really press through this time and become stronger. And certainly the number 1 goal is to survive now so that you are positioned to thrive, because that will happen. And there will be those companies and as we find opportunities that will even thrive during this time. Make sure that your people know this, that you are investing in them and checking in with them. And your people strategies right now should really be about effective communications and checking in with them. And I get that some of you may have those folks working from home or maybe not even working right now. Still check in with them and make sure that your compassion, your empathy comes out. you know, what's reported in the news media and what's in front of us, it can be so overwhelming. So think about what are the learnings from the economic downturns that we've had before. Yet this time it's different. The speed is entirely different. When you think about what happened in 2008, it took a while since there was almost a great debate, really, if there was actually a downturn and how it played out. And even when you think about other times, there was a different entry point. Well, it's important for us to understand that the indicator here is our speed to react and to change and to adapt, to really take action, take quick action and pivot. And, you know, when you think about pivoting, well, what does that mean? And thinking about that whole idea of how you're turning and doing something different in that moment and readjusting. And it may be temporary, it may be the new path that you and your organization might take. So think about any time where you've had to adjust, and it creates change, and that's why communication is so important. In the next 2 weeks to 8 to 10 weeks to a few months, you need to really be prepared as you think about it, so that just as we entered this, that we can find that way with strength and confidence to push forward and move forward. So again, it's vital for others, your people, your team, your customers, anyone that is important to you, that you care about, that you help them focus and really grab a hold and give them something to move forward with. Your business will become stronger. You will emerge on the other side of this as you get a plan and work the plan. So let's think about that together. Step 2, you may need to change your business model a bit. Business model innovation is constant in this economy and certainly required at this time, these challenging times. So think about that and where those opportunities might come from. Certainly the mindset of humanity is changing. Think about BC and AC, before COVID-19 virus and after COVID-19 virus. When we think about that, we've got a simple formula of change here that might be helpful to you, and sometimes simplistic formulas help guide you in conversations. You can write this on the back of a napkin if you wanted to. D times V plus F greater than R. Well, let me tell you what this stands for. The R really could stand for resistance, or maybe in this time it stands for retreat, if you see someone retreating. So, well, how do we overcome that? Well, the D is for data or dissatisfaction. So look at that and identify that in your organization. Think about V, the vision of where you want to go and still want to go. And then in your planning, identify those first steps that you can take, that you can engage others to take and partner creatively so that we can move forward. Really, the burning platform right now is to knowing what those first steps need to be, and that might be the hardest thing right now that we need to focus on. Think about those small pivots. 100 ideas on small pivots are collectively can be your plan of action, and brainstorm with those around you to engage them into what could those ideas be. Look for the opportunity. Think about what companies are currently opening and which ones are identified as essential, and what might they need from you to partner in new and creative ways. Certainly this shift, if you do it right now and do it with great compassion, not gouging others, rather think about what can I do to add value, and really don't hesitate on maybe some of those ideas that you've had before and you've never really moved forward on them. Maybe bring those out and think about what that could be. Think about marketability, your marketability right now. If there's anything that you should focus on is that as an investment strategy, and how do you leverage yourself and scale some of the service that you're currently providing. That's one of the biggest opportunities. Step number 3, virtual is the new normal. The option to work from home when needed or try a different lifestyle without having to change is a win for everyone. If you can find the win, win, win in it, win for you, win for your employees, and win for those that you serve. And that really is the new normal. We will emerge with a new normal. Often you might hear someone say, gosh, I can't wait till things get back to normal. Well, my friends, it will be different. There will be a new normal. There will be elements that are familiar from our learnings from the past, no doubt. And yet, how do we discover together what our new normal needs to be? And yes, technology. If you haven't invested in technology, certainly we need to. I think just the whole mindset of shifting around how do we use technology is very important. And even this idea of how you manage the human management element or the inspirational leadership that's required during these times for managing processes and leading people. We have to think about our technology, and we're all experiencing social distancing right now, the new language that we're all using that certainly has meaning. When you think about what that is, how do we co-create what that new normal needs to be? Think about what kind of huddles you can have. If those of you that are still open can gather your folks to check in every day and then use technology to get others that are maybe working from home, that they engage so they don't feel alone. We do not want to feel isolation during this time. We've got to find creative ways of staying together and being together, and the energy that can come from creating that space to even do some dreaming together about the possibilities of what might happen. Indeed, I think we're going to get more efficient on how we do our meetings. And that efficiency isn't just temporary for this time. We're on a learning curve. We're experiencing how to do that differently. And how do we bring those learnings then forward to our new normal? Again, how do you work from home for those of us that haven't done that before, setting up those virtual offices? It's think about it, a great risk management plan, a crisis management plan of how do we relocate to new places to conduct business and to provide our products and services. As you think about reporting and checking in, maybe a good cadence for you to get into is checking in on Monday mornings and say, okay, what do we got planned for this week and for this day? And then check in periodically, whatever that cadence is that you need to figure out for you and your team. And then celebrate those wins. Make sure that in your meetings, it's not just reporting and planning, but you're allowing time to celebrate the wins and identify those so that we can continue to build upon the momentum and folks don't get stuck. That mindset of positive change and looking for wins and celebrating is very, very important. Validating people during this time and encouraging them and keeping them engaged. Certainly, you're going to be talking about and paying attention to your cash flow. You're hearing that cash is king. Your accountant and your CPA are probably telling you that very same thing. And gosh, how much cash do you need to have on hand? And what is that amount for you? Usually a good rule of thumb is at least 3 months of cash on hand is a good standard. And yet, you need to know what that is for you. And think about what costs that you can cut and maybe where you can extend some credit or go out and seek some credit. Keep in touch with your suppliers and your partners, not only to do some creative work with them, yet there might be a way to negotiate the conditions of payment for your accounts payable, or maybe you're in that place where you can extend and offer that to someone else. We've got all kinds of resources. Go out and make sure you're smart and intentional about where to take in your information. Go out to those sites federally, locally, the national and state levels, and get to those places of information. Many chambers of commerce in your communities are keeping all of those links to those websites on their site for you for easy access. And rely on those folks as credible resources to help you get the information that you need. I think even reframing the handout, as folks say, well, I don't know that I want my employees to have to go and seek unemployment during this short period of time, and reframing that. You've been paying into those unemployment funds, and so for you to tap into that for your employees during this time, maybe just need some reframing on your part when you think about it. And don't postpone what you can do today. I like to say, don't focus on what you can't do. Focus on what you can do. We're hearing so many things getting canceled for lots of good reasons, and yet let's not focus on what's getting canceled. Let's focus on what we can do. Change your cost structures. What do you need to do now as far as your budgeting for this next short time, and then to plan for the longer term? You can't necessarily sell your way out of this, and yet marketing and positioning yourself for that pent-up demand for your services once we emerge from this is really something to think about. So again, cash flow management, make sure you know what that is. We want to make sure that we are focused on that step as well. Step number 5, mentioned this already, marketing must shift. Really think about a more compassionate approach around how you're doing your marketing. You don't want to gouge people or focus on selling. It's helping them solve a problem or a concern that they have. When you really think about a new model that we might need for marketing, the message has to be different. Again, urgency for this with great compassion and respect. What's the virtual way for us to support each other? Thinking about the urgency to take knowledge now. It's really helping to share information, what's working for you, doing the right stuff in the right way. People will share that and we can learn from each other. Again, so do more marketing now than ever before. You really need to get out there. If you're not already having a social presence, get into that world, engage the talent of those that have it. I love the young generation who just is demonstrating how nimble they are and how quickly they can shift. And I love watching them teaching and supporting others that may need to still gain some of those skills. I do believe this opportunity of coming together in new and creative ways, we are going to learn from each other and partner and really build relationships that will help us be a better team together as we think about it. You've got to know your numbers. If you haven't focused on your numbers before, you've got to know your numbers. And again, thinking about marketing as an investment strategy, not an expense that's on your profit and loss statement. Certainly we have to track those, and we have to be smart about where we are managing expenses that we can and delay the things that we can, like major purchases and such. So if you don't know your numbers, get those numbers, work with your the folks on your team that do that, or your accountant, your CPA, and get those numbers, get your reports updated. Certainly you're going to need updated numbers to qualify for some of the small business programs out there or governmental assistance. So get those in place now if you don't have that in place. Sales with compassion, we talked about that. The tone must change if you've been high pressured sales and that's worked for you. No judgment here at all. Rather, think about what is the style that you might need to modify and focus on. Again, serious customer focus. I like to think about the critical non-essential. There's a book out there, Dr. Patty Lund wrote, Critical Non-Essentials, and go out and take a peek at that again and think about what are the things that you need to implement, or maybe some things that you've done before that you've shifted away from or drifted from, that you need to put back in place about taking care of those customers that you have now, retaining those customers that you have now. Very, very important. Still sell on purpose with intention, where there's finding a need and filling a need, and making sure that you're doing it with the right perspective, the right respect, and focusing on those relationships to really grow and develop those. Going above and beyond for folks during this time is really a great strategy. Step number 7, customer service for repeat business. Thinking about maybe those customers in the past that you can reach out to that might need something from you again, and go back and say, how can I help you during this time? Certainly thinking about building loyalty, and remember that virtual still must be visible? How do we get out in front of folks and say that, we are here, and talking about how can we support each other? And again, those existing needs right now, again, there can be profit in that, and you can still not only survive during this time, but creatively thrive and position yourself. Your people strategies, what do they need to be? So get the most from your people is a result of what are you giving and how are you supporting them? Give to receive type of thing. Start with good people. We've got good people wanting to do good things. Make sure that you're supporting them, keeping them safe, making sure that their personal needs are balanced with what you're asking from them. We can't forget to honor and respect that, especially when they're trying to work from home in a new environment. What does that mean? Help them really shift their mindset. If they've got fear showing up right now, or they vacillate or focus now and with confidence and then slip back, help them with their mindset and appropriately challenge them and support them to stay above the point, to choose to be a part of the solution and not part of the problem if that fear steps in. We like to talk about fear being, false evidence appearing real, and maybe there's pushback on that right now, because folks will say, Linda, fear is real, and I get that it's real, and yet we just can't get stuck there. We've got to be the type of leader that helps others focus and move forward and again, take action on the things that they can do. You may need to set some new standards about how your folks are even working these days, and what should be those boundaries and those barriers, and policies and procedures can come later to make sure that we maintain these beautiful behaviors that we're discovering now into the normal new the new place that we're going to be moving to. You have to be seen as a leader. You have to demonstrate that. There's no doubt. Ask them to join you in finding creative ways of becoming more cost effective and cutting those costs, dropping $1 to the bottom line. That full 100% of that dollar will drop to the bottom line, and that allows you to do more to support them as well, and keep them as whole as you can. So again, thinking about your people strategy is really important. Think about how during this time it's an opportunity to redeploy some of your folks and give them some new projects to work on, and it allows them to learn and grow and do something new and become even in greater value to the team. As we support each other, we discover that if you've got a person-dependent process out there, that might be an area to look at to see how do we cross-train some folks and give others opportunities to support, and maybe even relieve some folks from the work that they've been working on to get refreshed and renewed in some creative ways. So again, keep as many staff members as you can as you're able, and keep them engaged. And for those that maybe had to lay some off, and we respect and honor that, encourage them to use this time as a learning time to do some personal development in their skill sets, and return with even greater skill set to add to your team. Number 9 out of our 11 steps, build a strong mindset. Again, your mindset, your thinking will drive the way you feel about things and the behaviors and actions that you choose to think about the results that you're going to get. So strengthen your mindset, claim that space of positivity. A dose of reality is absolutely important. And yet keep reframing your mindset. Well, how do you do that? Through some daily rituals and confidence statements about I am, and positivity there. We like to talk about at Action Coach, rituals being described as not R-I-T-U-A-L-S, but rituals as in R-I-C-H UALS, the richness in those daily routines as we learn and grow. It's a good behavior and kind of a routine to get into to bring some stability during these times of great change. We need to focus on, some confident patterns of being together and making sure there are some things that won't change. Body, mind, and spirit, taking care of ourselves, mentally, physically, and spiritually, all those ways that help us re-energize and get new energies time is finite. There will only be 24 hours in a day, and how we though elect to get re-energized and go and do some things that help us come back and focus and become even more effective in our work. So that's an exciting opportunity to keep building a mindset. Think about the opportunity. Recognize there, yes, is a language, but even reframing that look for the goodness, look for the helpers, look for the opportunity to step up and help. Celebrate those small wins each day. I like to encourage my clients to adopt a practice that at the end of each day, before your head hits the pillow, come up with at least 3 good things that happened that day. And sometimes they're small things, sometimes they're big things, yet it's that routine of that daily ritual that will help you maintain a positive mindset. And you'll also see that you will become more appreciative and express appreciation to others and encourage them. And we all need to be validated and know that we are valued and add value to others. Sometimes no news is good news. Again, there's so much news out there. I spent 21 years in healthcare leadership, and I was on the side of setting up the command centers during times like this and help deploy. And so I'm on this side of it now and helping other businesses. So let the medical professions manage that, and let's certainly abide by their guidance and their professional wisdom and advice. And yet, again, taking in news in the right doses. Sometimes you just have to get into the ritual of how much news and where am I taking it and how am I going to use it so I don't get overwhelmed. Step number 10 out of 11. Plan for the next 90 days. If you already had a 90-day plan, and many of our Action Coach clients are very familiar, this is how we coach, that probably needs to be changed. Your next 30, 60, 90 days probably won't look like how you'd set out to set it up for this quarter. So it's going to be a business plan that you need to focus on. What will you market? What will you sell? What will you deliver? How will you charge? Again, as I said before, surviving is your first priority, and then think about putting in plans for where you will grow and how you need to grow. And this is an opportunity to think about, partner, work with others, work with your coach, tap into the resources that you have, your financial resources, your CPAs, your accountants, your insurance providers, your risk management folks. Tap into them and understand, what are the provisions of our policies and our provisions for working at home. And if all of a sudden I'm now let's say I've got a fleet of vehicles and I'm deploying those now for delivery service. Well, since I didn't have that book of business before, do I know if indeed my insurance policies are covering me for that while I'm using that strategy in the short term? And check into those things. Again, there's much more to do here in our planning when we work together, specific steps for you to take. And I really look at how I can support you and what I can do to be supportive, and what other resources and partners you might have that could be supportive. Look to invest. There will be those that clearly will be positioned to invest in opportunities and what's happening out there in the stock markets. And for those of you who manage your own portfolio, there will be companies up for sale, customers with your competitors. Think about your niche. What do you do differently in your industry that will not only take care of your own customers, but maybe there's a competitor that needs to ask you to step up and take on their book of the business because they're just not able to. We don't want that to happen, and yet there will be those opportunities as you think about what that could look like. And then to add value, of course, step number 12 on our 11 steps. To be family oriented. When you think about those of us that are working from home in that new place, and maybe we've got young children that need our attention, and we've got both parents trying to work from home, or we've got college students at home that are taking up bandwidth because they've got to maintain their classes online, and what kind of hotspots do we need to put in place, and who's going to have the shift of interacting with the kids now, and who's going to focus on work. And so identify your resources. What does that need to look like? Get a personal plan there if you haven't already, and test and measure what's working. And if something doesn't work, just don't be so hard on yourself. Just say, okay, well, what did work, and what do we need to adjust? What do we need to correct? And get a good communication plan there. I had one client, and she was needing to focus and do some work, so she was sitting at the table and having her young kids do some of their homework, and even the younger one was sitting there, and she was coloring and doing some creative work. And so I encouraged the mom to frame that, to date it and frame it, and hang it in the home, and celebrate that young child who's focused on doing something productive too, just like her siblings and her parents, as we're all trying to focus on keeping ourselves busy with the right things. It's not all business focus. It has to be your family balance too. And maybe some of us will discover a new work-life, family life balance during this time, that we find that when we really focus working from home, that we can become even more effective to get some results and get some things done. And that creates more time for us to think about how do we spend it with those that we love in new and creative ways. The formula for change that we talked about before, that the D times V plus F greater than R for your children and for your family. What are they dissatisfied with right now? Maybe they're missing their friends in a way that they haven't connected. So how do you help them come up with a plan to use technology like they are so capable of using these days, and connecting with their friends and having some creative gatherings over using technology? And what kind of a family plan? Maybe this is the time where you sit down and you really put together a good family plan of what will it look like for you? How will you spend your time together? What are some of those dreams and goals that you want as your family, and some vacations that you want to take, or some family trips, and how do you put a plan in to get that? Maybe it's focusing on your finances and helping your children during this time learn how to appropriately save and be wise with their time and their energy and their money. Maybe they get an allowance. Maybe they get some birthday money that comes in, and maybe teaching them some good skills during this time as well. Putting some first steps in. You don't have to solve everything now, just taking some first steps to have fun time with your children and have some intentional learning time there as well. And then share those opportunities with others that you need to connect with, as you connect with adults that you need to make sure that that's being met in your need. Socially, we're human beings. I know we get so busy and we act like human doings, and maybe this time is an opportunity for us to step back and think about, who do I need to be with? Who haven't I connected with that I need to? Who haven't I checked in with? And put some energy around that, building those relationships. They will serve you well. So investing in your relationships is something else that's really important. I'm mindful that some of you have businesses that have been closed, mandated closed. So now what? And we can talk about that. And if you don't have a plan, I'm planning on doing some more series, and maybe smaller webinars and nuggets of learning. What are some of the first steps you need to take? Maybe you were thinking you could keep many of your employees on the payroll, and now maybe it's, nope, we got to come up with a different plan. How do you put that in place? How do you maybe carry their medical health coverage for them and reduce their salary, or have them apply for unemployment benefits? So all kinds of things, helping them professionally and personally. Maybe they need to do some personal refinancing and check in with their resources, their banks, their credit unions, their lenders. Again, that's a whole nother area of focus, and I'm trying to just generally give you some ideas of what needs to be done. Hopefully there's some nuggets of learning that you've had here today that would be helpful to you. And I'm hoping that you'll take the time to even take some action. So think about maybe 5 ideas that you've heard from anything that we've shared today that you need to take action on. And certainly I'm available. Like all of our action coaches, we are offering at least 5 hours a week of pro bono coaching to help business owners and business leaders. And I've had several opportunities to do that, and will continue to do that, and will likely maybe do some group coaching and some group mentoring, and helps us creatively partner. Yesterday, I had an opportunity to connect two business owners and to think about how can they support each other. One is an essential business that needs to continue, and the other is kind of in this process of figuring out if she should close her doors, or is there another way she can support others during this time. And so introduce them, and with some creative ideas, we did some brainstorming, and they are actually going to partner together and add value to the clients that one of them have. And so taking care of not only your own clients, but partnering with another company that you can help take care of their clients, and then customers, and then maybe cascading that out, and helping them to play it forward. With my clients, I'm also offering to help whatever businesses, their suppliers, their vendors, their customers might need access to some brainstorming, and really a coach to walk along their side, a business coach that can help them if they get stuck, to encourage them to not get stuck, to get a plan, and to put a pivot plan in place to be successful. So think about a pivot plan to success during these times. Again, our language is so important. As you think about and you hear some of the language that's out there, non-essentials, as I referenced before, let's reframe that to say, well, what can I do so that I can become essential to someone else to add value? Where can I go in my creative place to offer? And maybe the return right now is a different currency. Maybe it's not $1 that goes into the bank. Maybe the currency is that relationship. Maybe during this time, as I'm doing, is when I'm offering some complimentary work, pro bono work, that they encourage or refer me to another person or another leader or another business owner that might need some help, and then we together work together. Or a testimonial. Ask your clients for testimonials so that you can put that out there in your social media and in your marketing plan, and how you've helped each other. So not that it's about you, it's about the work that you're doing to support others and the gift in that. So there's all kinds of different currencies out there that we can use to measure our success during this time, and to put our plans in place. I know that we are socially distanced, and for folks that are wired like me, we need to be in relationship with others. And there are all kinds of creative ways to do that. Share those creative thoughts. I know there's some questions here and some thoughts, and I want to respond to a couple of those with maybe even some creative ideas of what others are doing. The whole idea of I'm behind on. Okay, so think about the dentists, or some of those that you are in healthcare and you're maybe only open for emergency time. What can you do with your team right now to help them plan and learn, and to start putting in place a plan for all those demands of appointments that they've had to probably reschedule and will need to attend to, and what can we do creatively to extend some hours of service when we do open back up? So that's something to think about. There's a question here. I'm so overwhelmed with all the information, I don't know where to start. Well, start by claiming that space of I am going to take action. I am going to get a plan. Maybe that's the first thing that you do today, is to start writing on your list, what's the one thing that I am going to focus on today that will help me move one step closer to where I want to be? And maybe that's just creating some think space, or phoning a friend, or reaching out to another person that you have a relationship with to help you come up with that list to encourage you. And maybe that's the start. Maybe some of you are saying, well, I absolutely am putting my budget in place, and I am retooling my budget, and I'm setting up some new goals, and I'm well on my way. That is great, and don't do that in isolation. Think about who else do you need to communicate that to, so that those expectations can be appropriately managed. Again, manage processes and lead people in an inspired way. And so the process of communication, if you don't have that set up, think about putting that in place, and practice the frequency of when you need to connect and how you need to connect. Maybe it's as simple as you don't know how to use the technology out there, or to set up a Zoom call. I have done that with a couple of my clients as well, as we've just had a very safe space to help them learn how to navigate. Well, here's where you go to do this, and so appreciative of taking the time to do that. Or maybe in the past, almost embarrassed to admit that they don't have some of those skill sets. Tap into those younger ones, those younger leaders that just naturally and intuitively know how to do these things. Build those kinds of relationships. Maybe you need to think about, again, reaching out to your insurance carriers, both personally and professionally, making sure that your policies are covered, that you've got the right riders on policies if you're starting a new service line that you didn't have before. I love the spirit of Siouxland right now. I love watching other, not only customers, but other companies step up to help. Think about the restaurants in town and their delivery services. And if you're helping with that, make sure that the people that you have delivering that are covered appropriately while they're working for you. There are those kinds of things that need to happen. If you haven't reached out to your accountant yet, please do that again. I know that they are certainly experts in their area. They will guide you through that. They will make sure that you have your numbers, what you need. They will teach you and coach you as well. And what I do is I add to, I don't take away from those experts that you already have on your team. I see myself as, and other coaches, as helping us connect all of that work. I've actually had some folks say, well, Linda, I've got an industry coach. And I'm saying, that's great, because you need to know and stay on top of your skill sets in your industry. And I would add this, that industry coaches also are helping all of the other companies in your industry. What we like to do is help you find a niche. How can we set you apart and help you develop that specific the specific service or the standard or something that you would stand behind and you would guarantee and set you apart. And maybe that's something that you need to focus on right now. What is that niche? Have I written it down? Have I really articulated it and communicated it and made sure that I trained myself and others for the kinds of behaviors that we need to support that right now? So mastery of your time. If you're letting your to-do lists right now take you to a place of what's most in front of you as a kind of reactive mode, feeling like you're always putting out fires, take this time to look at where you're spending your time, and then start with, what are the 5 really important things that I need to focus on, those big rocks that I need to focus on first, and put together a new default calendar, a new plan of what gets your attention. And yes, prepare time for those things that will go bump in the night that you have to respond to. But think about your time mastery. Time management is another word for it. I like to think of mastery because it feels to me like language that you can claim the space of staying in control and intentionally determining how you're going to spend your time. Mastery of delivery, of how are we currently delivering our services, kind of back to the basics of new and creative ways of making sure that we're delivering the services that we can right now. And if we're not able to offer products or services, think about what you want that consistent standard to be, and start putting that in place so that when you do reemerge and open up again, that you're declaring a new place for your consistency and delivery and quality and communicating processes to support your team to do that. Again, your financial health of your organization, staying focused on that, and becoming a financial master and knowing your numbers and knowing where to go to get your numbers, or delegating that on for someone on your team, and making sure that you're properly communicating those key performance indicators. I like to add key behavioral indicators. Those kind of behaviors that we want to measure. And yes, the soft stuff, as some people call it, the human side of being, can be measured, and is really an important part of getting the work done as you think about the processes that you need and the people that you need to do the work. Think about your destination. Where is it you want to be, your vision? Maybe you do need to pivot now and include that new pivot path in your future. And so spend some time thinking about that, and maybe creatively looking at where does that fit in your new business model, and readjusting that. And then, of course, systems. What systems need to be either attended to? Maybe you've got some processes that aren't serving you well anymore, or they're fractured, or maybe they don't exist at all. And you need to spend some time thinking of simple things like checklists. So systems to put in place. Systems acronym stands for saving yourself time, energy, and money. Saving yourself time, energy, and money. Engaging your team right now to think about what systems do they feel like they need to put in place at a personal and professional level. And then, of course, team. It's part of our 6-step model, team. Thinking about how do we come together as team today, all hands on deck. How do we emerge as a stronger team? Bringing forth some of this discovery along the way. This will be a great time for us to really focus on new and creative ways of being team together. So no doubt you will grow as you are intentional about the areas that you want to grow on, that you get a plan in place, and it can be at all different levels. Specifically around your business. We're really back to the basics here when you think about it, and that's what Action Coach is about. We have a proven model and proven strategies. I'd love to share with you that we're in over 87 different countries. So the model, the structure, the support helps in any industry, in any country, in any size of business. Again, it's really about focusing on what we can do instead of what we can't do, with great intention. I would love to hear from you. I actually am recording this and will be sharing this out, partnering with the Chamber of Commerce and others to determine what else might we need. How do we come together in creative forums to share the learnings and share the ideas? And I love to be in that space, brainstorming with folks about what can be done. And even challenging a little bit as a coach. So, part of it is challenging your thinking. If you come up with justifications or reasons in your own mind frame that here's why you can't do something, and I will just challenge you to say, let's reframe that. And let's think about what's the one thing you can do to move you closer to where you want to be. Well, I tried that before. Well, things have changed. Things have changed quite a bit. So what if you would bring that idea back to the forefront and try it again, or try it anew in different ways? Just the confidence right now that people need to have, and the courage. It's a call for leadership at all levels in your organization, in all areas of your life, and being confident yourself. And your shadow right now, your leadership shadow, is being watched. People are looking to you, especially as the leader or the business owner. They're looking to you to see, number one, do you have a plan? How are you showing up? And if you don't have a plan, get a plan. Are you communicating that plan and including them? Help them stay confident by just doing some basics. So again, the 5 Ps that will help you survive and thrive, from my perspective, would be to plan, to pivot, to partner, to really prepare, and then to push forward. And you indeed will emerge stronger than you were in the past. And again, to let some of our perfectionist behaviors, if we have a tendency to do that, to let those go and focus more on pursuing excellence, and having folks record and keep track of the things that they're finding are working really well for them, so that we can share the learnings. That's really what this is about. We like to say that some people win and some people learn, and of course there are lots of other leaders that have great nuggets of wisdom out there, and maybe take some of those and hang on to those and think about what can we learn during this time, and choose to be in that place. You can always choose your response to no matter what the situation is, especially during those times when we don't feel like we have control over a lot of things. So for today, again, I know some of you didn't have this on your calendar. I really hope that our time together has been valuable, that there's been one nugget of learning for you to go back and list your 5 ideas that you need to take action on. Not a list of 100 today, just 5. Don't overwhelm yourself with another list, to keep track of your list, to generate yet another list, if that's what you need to do. Simplify, clarify, and connect the things that are important to you and what you need to focus on. Again, I'd love to go into more business strategies that you might need to look at. Contact me, reach out, be happy to work with you. Again, I'm not looking to sell you anything. I want to add value at this point so that you see and can experience the value of working together and partnering together and moving forward as we do emerge from this. So you can find me send me an email, Linda Krei at actioncoach.com, LINDAKREI at actioncoach.com. You can call me or text me at 712-251-7189, and I certainly will get back to you. And creatively, we will plan, we will pivot, we will partner, we will prepare, and we will push through. And I'm confident that we will emerge stronger in a new place with a new normal, with all kinds of opportunity if we choose to be in that place. So for today, I'm going to wish you farewell, ta-ta, stay safe, be well, wash your hands, sing the ABCs if you need to while you're washing your hands. Lots of great advice out there. And share with others your learnings. We're about real people getting real results in real relationships during this time. So thank you for participating and investing in yourself today. And with that, I will bid you farewell.